All right, I'd like to call this meeting of the Town Select Board to order on Tuesday, May 5th at 8:30 a.m. Before we get started, I want to introduce myself. I'm Laura Powell. I'm the vice chair and I'm serving as the chair today. Love for you guys to introduce yourselves too.
Norm Freitas and Cliff Johnson.
And this is
Eric Duffy,
our municipal manager. We will have citizens' comments at the top of the agenda, just some notes on how that works. If you want to speak during citizens' comments, that is for anything that's not currently listed on the agenda. So please, if you're in the room, raise your hand if you want to speak. Come to the table when you're acknowledged by the board and state your name and where you live. We give 3 minutes for citizens' comments currently. If the matter you want to discuss is on the agenda, we ask that you wait until we get to that agenda item. When we discuss that item, the board will discuss it first and then open it to public comment. We ask that you address your comments to the board as a whole and not to individuals in the room or to individual board members. Thanks for coming to our meeting. All right. First, we have additions and deletions from the posted agenda. Do you guys have anything?
None for me.
You have some things to move around?
I would ask if we can move the Housing Task Force and the MSK contract to the top of votes.
To the top of the meeting, great.
As Abby Sherman has a 9 a.m. and I want her to be able to speak to both of those if needed.
Okay, great. I have a select board update that I'm going to put under other business at the end of, before the approval of minutes. Okay, let's get going. Does anybody have any citizens' comments? Please raise your hand. If you're on Zoom, please raise your hand on Zoom, which is you press the hand button on Zoom.
We have one on Zoom. I don't know if any in person.
I think I saw Gay's hand. Gay, do you want to come up? All right, you got 3 minutes, Mark.
Good morning.
Morning, Gay.
I'm hoping third time's a charm. This is my third time to bring up that it would be great to have the number of attendees on the minutes. And this time it would be great to have an answer, hoping that you guys are going to say yes, that you're going to add them.
Thanks so much for your feedback. I think it will be, I don't know if you guys have any comments on whether or not, I think we've said last meeting, it's hard to capture the number of attendees in a meeting unless we have a sign-in sheet. We do our best to capture the names that are on Zoom. If we want to have a sign-up sheet to get the number of people in the room.
Yeah, I think we can at least do the number of attendees. It's just whether we can, if somebody doesn't, well, people put the wrong name sometimes, they don't know name. So I think we might not always get that. So I think ensuring accuracy on every name might be challenging because people can choose not to sign in or whatever.
Well, I mean, I'm not even saying that you need the names. It's just like numbers. And I think it's pretty easy. You just sort of count the number of people in the room. I mean, I've done it every meeting. It's not really, I don't find it like an onerous process.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think the names was the part that I think is challenging.
No, I mean, that's understandable. It's just sort of the number. I just think it would be helpful and indicative of people's interest.
Yeah,
Thanks,
I'm in
Gail.
support of that.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gail. We're going to ending that. We're going to go online first, Peggy, and then we'll come back to you. Is there anybody online? Mr. Selden, you have 3 minutes.
Great, thank you. This is Nicholas Selden. I obviously live in Woodstock. And the reason why I was asking to speak is that I was hoping that you, as Mr. Duffy's managers, would be able to tell him to release the unredacted police report involving Jeffrey Kahn's assault of a woman. Jeffrey Kahn is a sitting village trustee, and he has recently denied having assaulted a woman, which is obviously not true. That's a lie. And he has claimed that Rutland PD has somehow cleared him, which is also not true based upon the email that I have sent to Mr. Duffy showing that that's not true. And so when I've requested the police report that Woodstock did, Mr. Duffy had redacted virtually everything. And I'm fine with the woman victim's name being redacted. Like, I'm not trying to disclose that. But I do think that we as the public have a right to know what Mr. Kahn did. There are apparently photographs of the woman's injuries that Mr. Duffy is refusing to turn over to me as well. And so I'm just asking that you maybe put a little pressure on him to be transparent. I think transparency is very important at this point in time. And that's all I have to add. Thank you. Oh, also, I've sued the village of Woodstock to get a copy of that report. So that's a pending lawsuit right now under the Public Records Act. So hopefully we can just resolve this entire thing. You can have Mr. Duffy disclose the report, and then I can dismiss that lawsuit because I'm going to get those documents one way or the other. Thank you.
Peggy?
Morning. Peggy Fraser, Woodstock Village. I know that during public comments, you cannot address any question or issue that anybody brings up. It's supposed to be on the agenda. And so I know that I myself and many other people have sent questions 2 weeks in advance or more, plenty of time to get on the agenda, and none of them ever get on the agenda. So what does one have to do to get a question answered? It would be good if you would be able to advise us on that.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Peggy. We're going to have another discussion about the rules and procedures of minutes. I think it's important to note that the agendas are made at the discretion of the chair and the vice chair. So at times they're like, if you have a question or you have a point of concern, that might be addressed in public comment, or it might be addressed another way that doesn't have to be in a meeting, or it can be addressed in a meeting. But we're going to work out the process for that. So anybody else have a comment? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Deb Gravel. I live in Woodstock, and my concern is roadside mowing. Each year I get surprised by the truck coming up the road, and it would be nice if it would either hit the listserv or the standard, or just maybe even a couple of times in a row before they show up. I mean, I have to run out there with my sign. I'm sick of invasive seeds and plants being spread all over my property. I've got gout weed growing up into my flower beds, and I'm just sick of it. So if there could be some notification, that would be great.
Can we work with Greg on that?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
Tom.
you.
All right, any further citizens' comments before we move on to the agenda?
I'm not seeing any online.
All right, manager's report.
Yes, a bunch of things. One, we're aiming to do striping for all the crosswalks on May 11th, whether they're defending. So we have that lined up. Second, we got the draft audit last week. There were some questions and responses we had to provide. So Robert sent those back late last week. We should have the final draft hopefully sometime next week, at which point we'll schedule a meeting where the auditor can come and discuss the findings and the overall audit to the select board and the trustees sometime before June 30th.
Great.
The last tax bills were due this past Friday. So I want to thank Robert Densmore, Kitty, Ashley, and Patricia for dealing with the craziness the last few weeks. We'll talk about this in a second, but I believe about $15 million was deposited through that office in the last few months, the last month or so. Not much of that money goes to the state for education, so it doesn't stay here, but we still have to process it and we're responsible for it. So I want to thank them for all their hard work. With that said, utility bills for water and sewer are still due June 11th. Yep. So if you have any questions on that, please reach out to our finance office and they'll go through the process for you on that. Additionally, just some highlights from the last month. Stephanie and I attended the Vermont City Manager Association's conference last week, and we presented on Woodstock short-term rental ordinance and the process we went through that, the lessons we learned, and kind of compare that to what Stowe's doing as well. So that was very helpful, and I want to thank Stephanie for all the hard work on that. As I mentioned, the finance department in April had over 1,200 deposits with over $15 million from that office. They also sent out over 1,000 utility bills and worked on the draft audit as well to get that ready as well. Our economic development director, Abby, held an information session on village and historic tax credits. We'll present in a few minutes on the engineering firm for the water system upgrades. Attended a tourism summit and worked on more grants for wastewater plant as well, among other things. Fire EMS department had 22 fire calls, 43 EMS calls. They also hosted 19 Dartmouth students for ride-alongs the last month. and did 20 building inspections. Finally, a police dispatch had over 278 calls for service, 146 of them being village related, 132 being town related. They also had 96 motor stops that resulted in 57 tickets and roughly $9,207 in fines, which goes to the state, and some of that comes back to us.
All right. Financial report?
Yeah, so there's not much to report since the last meeting. I think the last meeting payroll had just happened.
Yep.
Payroll just happened yesterday, so we've not updated the system yet. We still have, let me share my screen quickly. We're still looking at somewhere around projected surplus of $180,000. That's obviously going to change as we have more expenses, i.e. fuel is going to be a big one for us. But we're still in a pretty positive situation, I feel, right now financially.
And for those who weren't here for the last few meetings, do you want to highlight the overage for fire and EMS?
Yeah, so as we talked about, I would say for the last, stop sharing my screen, please. Open up share my screen. So we're talking about as we look at what the projected budget is as of 2 weeks ago. Again, that could change, fluctuate depending on what goes on. But the projected expenses are salaries and things we know we're going to expend money on going through the rest of the year. Yeah, so for about 5-6 months now, we were talking about fire and EMS. Issue is we have a very difficult time getting part-time staff these days to work or to want to be employed with the fire department, EMS. So to cover shifts, we have to have full-time officers, full-time staff do those shifts. It's more expensive to have a full-time person who gets paid more with benefits, getting time and a half than a part-time staff. So that's where you see the high overages in that department. Knowing that was going to happen, we've been talking with Chief Green over the last 5 months to kind of not spend money on other things to kind of offset the extra cost. But this board also agreed to fund 2 new positions for fire EMS on July 1 to help offset this issue that we're facing.
This is me not commenting about housing in Woodstock as it relates to that issue. All right, we're gonna.
There is a hand raised online.
Oh, anybody?
Mary Ann Sweeney.
Mary Ann?
Hi there. Eric, I was hoping that you could explain or just explain why the wellness benefit is 445% over budget.
Which account line are you talking about?
General fund?
Yeah, which there's wellness on, I think, a few different categories. So I have to make sure.
Do you have the number?
The number, yeah.
3,179.81.
No, sorry, I mean the fund number.
Oh, sorry, the fund number. 1-5012-200.
That is, I believe, in the personnel policy, there is reimbursement for gym memberships.
Yes.
That have never really been budgeted for appropriately. This year, I believe, Robert, we budget for it in the new budgets.
I don't know how much we.
Yeah. The other thing too is we have Abby Sherman's salary was voted on by the board to be out of the 1%. None of the other expenses associated with her benefits have been voted on. So it's going to be a vote on the board in June to see if you want to allocate all the benefits on the 1% and keep it in the general fund.
Makes sense.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not quite understanding how that has to do with this wellness. So we subsidize for the athletic club as well as the rec center.
I think it's any gym they choose to participate in.
Correct.
Yeah.
I thought it was either one. It's any gym.
I don't have the present policy in front of me, but I believe it's any gym, right?
Robert has it.
The personnel policy actually does speak to the rec center and the athletic club. Okay. So it is in Woodstock. And it is a benefit where the town pays 75% and the employee pays 25% of that cost. And it's reimbursed on a quarterly basis. So that's that benefit as a whole. I mean, $3,000 out of $8.2 million budget. I know it's over on that specific line item, but we, work hard in other areas to try to find overages to help accommodate.
Right, but we are also paying for the Woodstock Athletic Club memberships. Is that correct?
Per the personnel policy, that is an approved gym in town that is allowed to be reimbursed to the employees.
Right. So that's so my numbers, and Robert, you'll correct me, I'm sure, if I'm wrong, which I often am. An employee gets already subsidized, but they get a special rate by the Woodstock Athletic Club. They're getting almost a 60% discount off the regular. And then we subsidize another 75% of that. So an employee pays, according to my calculations, which I say could be wrong, $18.75 a month. Now the rec center, where taxpayers are already paying $235,000 to fund, that costs $360 a year. And the employee at 75% would pay $7.50 a month. So I don't understand why we added the athletic club to this when we're already sending money to the rec center. We should just be sending people to the rec center, which is an athletic club, especially since the inn is giving everybody a break of almost 60%, town employees. So when it would cost anybody in the audience $130 a month, it's costing our employees $18 a month. You can't even walk in the door of the athletic club for less than $25 a day. So I would hope that the town would look at this for a little cost savings here, throw us a bone. That's all I have to say.
Thanks, Marianne. It's something we can consider if we revisit the personnel policy.
Thank you.
Thanks, Art.
All right, let's move on to votes. You wanted to do the task force, Wendy? Sorry, did you have a comment for?
Regarding the manager's report?
Yeah, come on up.
Good morning, Wendy Marinan, village resident. I was interested in knowing if the short-term rental report and analysis will be presented, or an update will be presented at trustee and select board meetings coming up. I'm interested because, as we all remember, we have two policies in play for I forget, ordinance? No.
Yep.
Yeah, for one ordinance we have software tracking and personnel time applied to it. So I think it'd be great to hear a big picture explanation of what's happening. I think it's particularly timely as we go into, I saw on the agenda, our discussion about housing and development. I think this all ties in very nicely. So
Sounds good. Thanks, Wendy.
I guess I'm requesting agenda item in person.
I appreciate that. I think
Thank
it's
you.
something we talked about last fiscal year when we made our goals and objectives. The short-term rental, revisiting the short-term rental policies came up. It was not ranked as a goal, but I think your point in terms of figuring out where the reporting is and enforcement would be good to revisit with the staff before the end of the fiscal year. Right. Votes. Miss Abby Sherman.
I think we want to start the housing task
Yes,
force.
housing task force. Is that okay? Or
Yeah.
did you? Okay.
So I think we discussed this at the last meeting. There was some concern that the committee would not be as housing focused as the board and the public wanted. We met internally, made some clarifications to what the committee would be doing, with the understanding that, as the chair said a few minutes ago, housing kind of encompasses everything, and we need economic development, and we need school, and we need all this stuff for housing to work. But with that said, it'll be a little more housing specific for the guidance of the board.
So we put together a revised proposal, still proposing that the name be called the Woodstock.
Sorry, it's not in the back now. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead, sorry.
Okay, that the name would be Woodstock Housing and Economic Development Task Force. The core focus would be to work with the Economic Development Director to develop and implement housing strategies that enable workforce growth, support local businesses, and attract new residents and expand the brand list. The primary objectives would be housing development, which is participate in the visioning process and collaboration with stakeholders in the development of a strategic plan that will become the framework for strategic investment in housing, pursue actionable initiatives identified in the plan, and help coordinate efforts among public, private, and community partners to support Woodstock's long-term vitality. Policy and zoning provide recommendations for policy and zoning changes based on the strategic plan, which encourages speedy development of housing. Public engagement, educate the public on housing topics, including the types of housing needed in Woodstock and the relationship between housing and workforce needs. Partnerships, develop partnerships with developers, nonprofits, state agencies, and local organizations. Work with these organizations to increase Woodstock's housing stock and create solutions to resolve barriers to housing development. Membership is proposed to be a minimum of 5 members who are appointed by the select board with staggered 3-year terms. Hoping appointments would be completed by July 1st. And the planning commission would appoint an ex officio member. Members should have experience with housing development such as real estate, financing, development, etc.
Comments from the board?
Yeah, I appreciate the revision to be focused on housing.
Yep.
I think it's a lot tighter.
A lot tighter. I'm excited to see the partnerships piece. I think something that we have been lacking internally is leading relationship building with developers other than the ones that are just coming in to touch community and development. We're not capturing those folks the way we need to be. For those that don't know, Abby came to us from a state agency, so she has a lot of experience, not just with grants, but has a network of state agencies that we are hoping to use in her capacity, which is exciting. So, and several folks have already reached out to me about participating in this, and they're very excited about it. So, comments from, we'll open it up to the public if the board is done commenting. Okay. Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve the housing task force, the creation of the housing. We've already voted on the creation of it. Okay.
You voted on the idea of having it, this would be the vote out, yeah.
I'll entertain a motion to create the housing task force under our economic development director, Abby Sherman, with the appointment schedule outlined by her.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. The motion carries. Thank you, Abby. We're going to move on to the MSK contract.
So we got the draft contract yesterday afternoon. That's into the boards. There are 2 contracts, one for the new well, which would be about $90,725 to MSK. The second one is for the project 1B, which would be $174,500. Both those quotes came in kind of under where our estimate was originally, based on informal conversations we had with other contractors and vendors. Craig Jewett is not online, but Abby and Stephanie met with them yesterday for about half an hour. Had some questions answered, and they're both confident that this is the right approach moving forward.
Any questions for Abby or Eric on the MSK contract? Craig has worked on this project a long time. He came from Otter Creek Engineering, who did the original engineering report, but is now at MSK Engineering.
Correct.
So he's very familiar with our water system.
I reviewed the contracts. It was good to me, and need to get these things done. Soon. I'm sure a lot of people are excited about it.
Okay. Comments from the public? Okay, come on down.
Gay Travers Woodstock. First of all, it would be great if you guys had a mic because it's not a matter of not being able to hear you, but it's not distinct.
Okay.
So it's sort of hard. So in that vein is why I'm going to ask this question, but probably was answered. I missed the discussion last time about MSK. So I don't know if what was just reported has anything to do with the last time's discussion. If it's the same project or not, I couldn't tell. But either way, I was concerned about the fact that there weren't 3 bids. I know, I mean, the definition of a bid is it includes the cost and what the project is. And so my understanding after looking at the recording was that hadn't happened, that there was an interview process, and then one was just picked without a price or what specifically how they were going to handle it. So I guess that's my overall question is, to have that sort of explain why.
Yeah, sure.
Why.
So our procurement policy, do you have it? Outlines the process for us picking bids and whether or not costs can be included for this specific project, which is a civil engineering project. Abby, how many firms did you guys interview?
We received statements of qualifications from
4
4 firms.
firms. So Abby and Eric and staff met with 4 firms. Part of the reason, at least in my opinion, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that the procurement policy is set up this way is that so we don't pick a vendor simply based on cost. That is, again, in my opinion, how we ended up with a semi-disastrous result for the South Woodstock plant, where we got somebody who is unqualified to conduct that engineering work. So this is a part of that process. If you have feedback, and Eric can send you the procurement policy, I'd love to have your feedback on it.
Well, if you've got 3 legitimate bids, then you could sort of compare cost and see, in addition to the scope of work they offer, but rather than just pick one without any cost involved and not letting anybody else participate, I mean, really screams sort of a lack of fiduciary responsibility, I think. And I think, and everywhere you read, you need 3 bids, and the definition of a bid includes cost. So anyway, so that's my concern.
Thanks, Gay. Anyone else? Peter?
Peter Shoemaker, Woodstock, Vermont. Can you explain then, so these are contracts just for an engineering study. It's not a contract to actually drill the well and lay the pipe.
Correct.
So how will you then go about
So
procuring bids for the actual physical?
the engineering firm will be in charge of doing, correct, I want to make sure I correct the conversation last night. We'll be in charge of doing the bids for the actual work being done, and they'll oversee the entire work.
So they're actually acting like the contractor, and then they're going to subcontract out the work.
Yes.
They are designing the project and creating the bid documents, and then we will go out to bid, and then they'll oversee whatever contractor is chosen.
Right. So the bid will go through the town?
Yes.
You not the engineering firm.
Correct.
MSK was not going to do that. So you will then at that point, will you feel that is, you're going to put bids out that require the cost estimate, the pricing for the drilling of a well be one project and laying of the pipe is the other. So they'll go out to 2 separate bids.
Correct.
And you'll ask for.
Per the guidance of select board, we can ask for prices be included, or we can do the same thing we did and ask for qualifications. So it'll be on the guidance of select board.
So if we do it through qualifications and then don't do a bid, people are just going to know that, oh, they bonded up to X amount of dollars. So they can then just say, we're going to make our bid to be at least that. And then if the bid comes in over, what will happen then?
So I mean, we'll cross that bridge when we get there, but with help of Two Rivers and Abbey, we have also received grants that may be able to offset some of those costs if need be.
Okay. So if the costs come under, if we're able to get underneath that, then would that also be select board's purview to then refund that savings to the taxpayers by lowering the bond, like paying off the bond?
It is my understanding, and I'll be careful that I'm not an attorney, that we can't just go back and repay the bond early. The way the bond works, again, I want to be very careful. I'm not an attorney. I don't have an attorney next to me. But the way bonds work is they have to go and sell the bond to someone else who
Mhm.
is expecting a return on investment from the bond. So we can't just go and repay the bond early. The board, if there's extra money, can then reallocate that bond to a different project if they wanted to.
We're gonna get a bond. I thought we were getting 0%.
That is for the Elm Street pipe.
That's for the Elm Street
Yes.
pipe. Okay, so, okay. All right, so if the Elm Street pipe, then that money could be technically refunded to the taxpayers because that bond didn't really go out to anyone.
That was a loan,
That's
a zero interest
right,
loan.
it's a loan, so that could be paid.
I don't want to make any promises in public
Right.
meeting. I don't say anything that could be illegal. So I'll look into it for and get back to you with an answer.
Okay, and then same with, if we can't pay the bond off sooner and to pay off interest, there must be some way to then still, I mean, we're gonna end up with money left over, right? So how would you,
It could go into I don't want to speak for Robert or yourself, but like it could go into the undesignated fund balance. That's where excess revenues go. Or if it's a bond,
Bonds are different than
Bonds
excess
are
revenue,
different.
because the bond has been approved by the residents to
Right.
bond that money. So it'll be a discussion on the board at a public meeting what to do.
to
with it.
decide.
Yeah.
So we'll,
and so when you voted, you said the bond up to.
Yep.
So we haven't taken the bond out yet
We have for the water
We have.
projects.
for the water project. So we went right to the limit. We said we bonded right up to it.
Correct, yes.
So we're paying money on,
we're paying money with the permission of the voters. Yes.
Yes.
but we went and took all the money out right off the bat. We didn't, it was not like a revolving credit line where we said.
No,
oh,
because
we're
the
gonna-
hope was that we were gonna do the work last summer, but then we got the grant from NBRC and then we had to follow the federal procurement law. So that's why I pushed it back a year.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Peter.
Yeah, I might just add some feedback on the broader point is that if there are surpluses,
Yep.
we'll work to get that back to the taxpayers in whatever legal way we can. There might just be constraints on how we.
All right, I will entertain a motion to approve this contract with MSK Engineering for the water improvement projects.
So moved as presented.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Conservation Commission appointment, Mr. Manter.
It's online.
Hi, Mr. Manter.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thanks for coming to our meeting. I'd love it if you could tell us a little bit about why you want to join the Conservation Commission.
Hang on once. Okay, we're clear. Yes, my wife and I moved to the town of Woodstock exactly 3 years ago. We're well settled. I'm retired. I have the time and am interested in serving. I graduated 29 years ago from Dartmouth College with a degree in biology and environmental studies. I have past experience, my hometown, the town of West Tisbury, Massachusetts. I served 10 years on the local Conservation Commission board there, 2 years as chairman. I have a long history of volunteer work, especially with the nature organizations back in Massachusetts, home Felix Neck Wildlife Refuge of Massachusetts Audubon, the trustees of reservations. Then out in Arizona, I did a lot of work with Northern Arizona Audubon and Friends of the Verde River. Now I'm back east, and this is it. Hopefully, our final resting place, and I'm starting to get involved in the Vins area, and we'll see what else happens. But I do have the time to serve on the Conservation Commission here.
Amazing.
And just so the trustees approved this last night. So
Yep.
they're very.
Yes, they grilled me over really hard.
Thank you for coming to both meetings.
You.
Questions from the board on Mr. Manter's application?
Thank you for volunteering.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is the schedule work for you, Mr. Manter? You can attend 80% of the meetings throughout the year?
Absolutely. I don't live that far away. I'm on the Route 12 end of Prosper Road, and I also have good internet if I can't drive there.
Amazing.
And I just have one question. I assume you're going to approve me. Do I still need to officially be sworn in by someone before I can
Yes,
serve?
you need to go to the clerk's office to be sworn in.
Okay.
Okay.
You gotta vote for him now. If you
Yeah.
don't vote for him, it's very
I know, it's
awkward.
gonna be awkward. I'll entertain a motion to approve, Mr. Manter for the Conservation Commission.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Welcome, Mr. Manter. Thank you for your service.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Weathersfield dispatch contract.
Yeah, so I think Chris O'Keefe is now gone. He was earlier. Basically with everything going on, the Weathersfield town manager reached out to me, asked if we were interested in dispatching for the new police force they're creating. They had previously been dispatched through the sheriff's office, so through us anyways. So it's some extra work on our staff or no extra workload daily. But it's a $45,000 contract starting immediately with a 2.5% increase over the next 2 years. It's been approved by Weathersfield already. And so per your approval, we'll start dispatch them as soon as possible.
Can you explain just for context, what the dispatch contract looks like in terms of not this one, but like how we contract through the sheriff's department currently for dispatch?
Yeah, so currently any town that they have services in, we are the main dispatch for them for any calls that come through. So any emergency calls flows through our dispatch through them to the sheriff's office.
And did we have any sense of volume on Weathersfield?
We did, I don't have it on me, Chris O'Keefe had it, but the fee of $45,000 is kind of based on the total usage from Weathersfield.
Okay. Yeah, we wouldn't need to add staff essentially, so.
Yeah.
Correct, yeah, so I mean, we've been dispatching for Weathersfield through the sheriff's contract already, so this is
Yeah.
now a separate contract, so it shouldn't be any extra
Any
cost.
extra staffing time? Okay, more questions?
No, sounds like a no-brainer to me.
Questions from the public? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve this contract.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Porta potties at the Mondale Cobb, my favorite topic.
So I just want to give context. I think this got brought up last meeting. The board asked for members of Longwood to attend. We have a few members here today. I think there is actually 2 questions in front of the board today. One is approval, denial of porta potties at the Mondale Cobb Reservoir. And then the second would be if you are okay with them being there, are you okay with the town paying for them, or do you want them to be paid from a separate way? So I think there's 2 questions you want to entertain today on this.
Okay.
But that said, I'll leave it up to the board.
Wamba?
We're going to come up together, if that's okay.
That'd be great.
I am Matt Stout, president of the Woodstock Area Mountain Bike Association and co-founder. Just as a reminder, our organization has built over 30 miles of trails across the 3 networks at Saskadina 6, Mount Peg, and the Aqueduct. Last year, we have recorded 68,000 trail crossings at the laser trail counters that we use at the trailheads. We do all the construction, the maintenance, and we manage the trail use under our various agreements that we have with the town and with the Woodstock Inn. We also manage events for economic development, races, group rides. And all of this is for the benefit of the public. We're all volunteers. We have a 7-member board, and we have about 500 paying members who basically pledge a donation, but everything we do is for the benefit of the public. When we signed the new agreement with the town for the Aqueduct property to maintain those trails, we had the responsibility of the parking lot with the town. The town has plowed it, maintained it, mowed around the parking lot. And we actually built the parking lot, so that we funded. That was about $15,000 that Arborscape built. And what we asked for this season was whether we could put a single portage on, not plural. Sorry, yeah, just one at that trailhead. Last year we had one at the Mount Peg trailhead in Knox Meadow with no issues, and we had one at the Saskadina 6 trailhead. And I know one of the concerns was whether it would be unsightly, and I agree, they're not pretty. And in the future, we would really love like a permanent composting toilet, and we thought about working with the high school kids or an Eagle Scout on a project to build one. But as far as like placement, I actually have a map. And I would just suggest if we're permitted to have one, there's two logical spots. So that's, you know, the grassy lane, then Cox District Road. So we would either be tucked in this corner where we have a picnic table and there's a big vegetative buffer. There's actually a little pad mount transformer substation that's maintained by, I think, Xfinity or Cox or whatever they're called. And so there's already a little bit of infrastructure that's kind of hidden in these trees.
Where's the parking lot?
This right here.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Okay.
So you drive in, you pull into the parking lot. So
And
it
it
could
would be
be,
back there.
it'd be back there.
Can you see it from?
So there is a vegetative buffer. I'm not positive that it would be completely obscured. And then the other option is we would, if you drive up to this upper parking lot, you can see our kiosk, and we would tuck it back at the end of that lot without taking any spaces away. And then that one would also likely not be seen by the like passerbys. So those are two potential locations.
And this is a request for seasonal. This is not year round.
Year round. So it would,
What are your thoughts on dates? It's like April through.
yeah, when we open the trail system, we usually open mid-April, and then we close for hunting season, usually for the year, and then we reopen for winter. So we're usually closed in November.
So the parking lot's open in the winter.
It is, it's plowed, yeah. And the company that we've got a quote from, Wind River, they would swap it out, I think every 2 weeks, depending on use. So the concerns that it could get, you know, like not maintained, we're paying for that. That would be paid for. It was $180 a month, roughly, is what I believe it cost. And again, we had one at Mount Peg and at S6. And then one of our female members talked to the trail stewards at Boston Lot in Lebanon, and they've had one there for 8 years. And once in the 8 years, it was graffitied, and then it was replaced with a new one. And it's really come from the female members of our community who use that. And I'm going to submit a public statement from Kim Bean, who couldn't be here. She runs our group ride for women on Tuesdays with 20 to 30 women, some of which drive anywhere from like 1 to 2 hours to be there. And we also get out of state visitors who've driven a long way. And they're really pushing for this opportunity for obvious reasons.
I'm Mark Harris, also from Woodstock, and I'm board. I think Matt covered it all. I didn't know anything else to add here.
The cost.
Yeah, $180 a month. And we're also willing to do a pilot this year if like the public is concerned. I don't know if any of those are legitimate concerns, but if there are concerns, like we would pay for it this year and do a pilot, see how it goes, and see if the fear mongering about a porta potty really turns into like a, you know, shitstorm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just put that on the record.
How many people in the room? We can't make sure we can hear that.
18, there's 18.
Okay.
I'll put it in the minutes.
Matt, are the ones at Saskadina and Mount Peg still there? And have you had any issues with them?
Well, we have not had issues in the last season, but we haven't taken delivery this season because we were waiting to resolve. They're going to come at once with all three. One
Okay.
for each network.
And you guys are paying for those now, or is the resort?
We have a similar request into the resort,
Yeah.
whether they would pay.
Okay. Have they paid in the past?
We paid for the last one. And when we have events, I mean, we've had, 600 people in the parking lot in S6, we pay for 20 of them.
Right, right.
For the weekend, or I think it's for a month, yeah, to rent them for, but short term.
Have you had any agreements on insurance? So if you have a porta
Yeah.
potty on the resort's property, has there been any agreement between you and the resort for insurance wise or no?
We have insurance, and it covers all the work that we do on the trails, and it covers all of our assets, because we have a Mini X, we have a Kubota, we have a power dumper. I can check on the porta potty.
Probably the same liability.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're paying for it, it's on town property that one of us is covering it.
From an inclusivity perspective, and this is Kim, who is also a certified adaptive bike instructor. These porta potties would be accessible, handicap accessible, so that anyone needing services could use the toilet. Can also serve as a changing station too.
Other questions, comments from the board?
None from.
Okay, question, yeah, comments from the public? Do you guys mind sharing? Yeah, so Wendy can.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Wendy Marinan, village resident. I want to give credit to Wamba. I've witnessed their involvement over time in the community in terms of professionalism and presenting, and ultimate goal to help expand opportunities. All good. I'm late to this discussion. I missed the last meeting regarding this particular request. And one of my concerns is regarding, the town now owns the Vondell property, and it's for public recreation. Yes. We've also put it into have we done that? It's in an easement? It's final?
No.
We're considering, what verb do I use there? We're in the process.
In the process of considering.
In the process of.
In the process of considering
One of the
an
many
agreement
steps.
with the Land Trust, Vermont Land Trust. There are lots of public recreation facilities around the state where it's private land and then there's public land. My concern is our public land has been available for public recreation. The town now owns it, but correct me, how long have you been involved in using?
Wamba's first agreement with Africa Company was in 2016, so it's like 11 years.
Okay.
The recreation, and we have all this historical records, literally since the beginning.
Okay.
They built trails around the same time they built the earthen dam. So there's been that sort of history of recreation.
So it's been private land open to the public for that long, and Wamba's been involved. Okay, now I'm gonna get controversial. Without porta potties for 11 years is my point. I'm not sure that the town wants to go down the road of responsibility of each place where there's public access and recreation. We're going to provide a porta potty. It's a precedent concern I have. I get the event. For example, the village trustees vote to bring in extra porta potties during foliage. It's a volume issue, sheer volume of participants. But in terms of a setup, semi-permanent, it doesn't sound very seasonal to me. Porta potty and investing in it says we're going to keep doing that to me. And I worry about crossing that precedent line and to the next request and the next request. And this is no disrespect to Wamba. This is a bigger picture view of, and so maybe there's a consideration that we look at this as when there's the big events like was referenced, that it's appropriate. I'm not sure if the porta potties at Saskadena 6 and at Mount Peg were the long term, or were they event based?
Both. So during events, but then we kept one. We kept one in place long term.
So I guess we have precedent, but you understand my concern for tax dollars.
Thanks, Wendy.
And moving forward.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Peggy?
Peggy Fraser, Woodstock. I appreciate everything that you do, but I have to echo what Wendy's just said. And I have seen the Vondel property as a celebration of nature. Nature, go hiking, you know, you're on the Appalachian Trail. There are specific places. However, you don't worry about portable potties. I do think it sets a precedent. What's next? The Poe, you know, I mean, we have this beautiful, beautiful land. And we have these trails that are lovely and just the scenery and everything. I think it sets a dangerous precedent that we've got to worry about potty needs. And believe me, being an older person, I do appreciate very much the need for some way. However, you, as an older person, you learn to pace yourself, that you're not going to go someplace if you have a need within a certain time period. So you kind of measure all that and still be able to enjoy the property and let those who don't have the same issues enjoy it at all time. So I appreciate what you do, but I just think that it's not a necessary thing besides the expense. But the big picture, I think, is just how beautiful it is being nature.
Thank you,
And
Peggy.
celebrate that. Thank you.
Do we have any comments online?
I'm not seeing any.
Any more in the room? Okay.
While we wait, would you sign a contract with the vendor for the 6 months, or would it be a month to month?
Would just be month to month.
Okay.
Gay Travers, Woodstock. First of all, I have a procedural question. When I was here at the last meeting and this came up, and there was discussion on it, I thought I heard saying, that's okay, there's gonna be a lot more discussions about this. And then I read in the minutes that there would be further consideration. Then I see the agenda and suddenly there's a vote. So my question is, how did we jump from lots of further discussion to that we're having a vote? So that's a procedural question. Can anybody sort of answer me on that?
So usually with the way we structure the agenda, Gay, is that we like to ideally, depending on our timing and the urgency of an issue brought to the board, we like to have it on one agenda meeting as a set aside a discussion without a vote and then a vote, but there's always discussion leading up to the vote.
Okay, so I would just suggest that when further items come up, that is made very clear, because I walked away thinking there's going to be plenty more discussion, and that in my definition did not mean that the next meeting was going to have a vote. So just a suggestion of that to clarify for people.
In the rules of procedure, yeah.
And then to the topic, I have another question. Have the neighbors been notified of the potential of having a porta potty in their neighborhood?
What is your concern with the neighbors?
Pardon me?
What is your concern?
My concern?
Yeah, for the neighbors.
Well, I think the neighbors would want to know if there's going to be a possibility of having a porta potty right in their neighborhood, because that does encourage sort of more activity and whatever. So I don't know. If I were a neighbor, I certainly would want to be apprised of it and have an opinion, whether good or bad, it doesn't matter. So that's my first question. Have the neighbors been notified and asked how they feel about it? So that's my first thing. Is there an answer to that?
Well, this is a publicly posted agenda. Folks who abut the Vondel are well aware of,
Well, I mean, I think it's more than that. I mean, are people then responsible for looking at agendas all the time? I mean, I think it's sort of, well, you know what? I think it's incumbent on somebody who's making the request to let others who are going to be directly impacted to let them know. I mean, that's the way zoning has always been. And although I hear that that's supposed to change, but I don't think it's incumbent upon the citizenry to every minute to look, oh my God, is something going to affect me? I need to look at the paper. I mean, I find that sort of a surprising attitude. So I guess I'm going to ask again, have the neighbors been notified?
do you have a relationship with the neighbors,
Yeah,
Matt?
so there are 20 abutting properties, and when we filed our Act 250 permit, each of those was notified, but it's a 358-acre property. There's only one abutting residence to the parking lot. So it's not, you know, in terms of like, could it be seen by occupied residents? There's one home. And we can talk to that neighbor.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I would have think that would have been one of the first things to look at. And then I just want to piggyback on the other comments. I mean, I think it's setting a precedent. It's for a special group. Other special groups can start asking for other special needs. And I think frankly, having it there would cheapen the whole area. I mean, the whole push for this purchase was this whole peaceful nature thing. And I just think it really starts sort of making it something different when you start adding things like porta potties. Thank you.
Does anybody else have a comment before we go back to Wendy? Lauren, come on up.
Lauren Fisher, village resident. I think having a porta potty is a wise thing. Having hiked and cycled a lot, there are many times when it's needed, and men don't have nearly as many problems as women, but still don't want men traipsing through the woods doing all kinds of things. It's one of the main reasons we're told that roads are being shut during fall foliage season. And I'd sure hate to see that property shut down because people, especially if they're coming from an hour or 2 hours away, can't time their selves to that area. So I think it's a public service and economic development wise thing to do.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Roger.
I'm sort of finding it amusing that we're still talking about this, but here we are still talking about it. Roger Logan, Woodstock Village. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if we're worried about a precedent, is the Vondel not the only piece of property that's owned by the town and is used for recreation that would even come close to being appropriate? I mean, obviously Treeboo Park is not going to get a porta potty. I don't think the Green is going to get a porta potty. Is there any other piece of land that the town controls as opposed to the Woodstock Resort or the National Park Service who would have the say about these things or not? Is there any other piece of property that
The village owns East End Park, Valefield. Valefield has their own.
Valefield has restrooms.
I'm trying to.
Billings Park.
Mount Peg Park is town and managed by Billings Park Commission.
Yeah.
And it's got access to the Valefield bathrooms as well as the Welcome Center bathrooms, as well as our porta potty on the south side of the trail system.
Yep.
I mean, I hate to say that I think this is a no-brainer. You're not committing the town to the next 80 years of porta potties. Give it a shot. If it doesn't work, don't do it again. I mean, this town sometimes has this amazing capacity to think, and not do. And we've seemed to have been getting out of that mindset. And I hope we continue to keep going, getting out of that mindset. So and also, you know, as a white male guy, I think I need to think about there are other people in the world who are not me. So let's just do it. And if it doesn't work, stop doing it.
Roger.
Wendy, you want to wrap us up? We're going to end on you.
Thank you, Wendy Meriden. I thank you for all who've spoken. I want to add one more concern / suggestion considering your decision. So we have a fairly isolated parking lot. Correct me if I misstate. This is a fairly isolated parking lot that will then have a fairly isolated porta potty. So let me just throw some ideas. What if overnight camping starts? Because what great access for my camper and a place to go to the bathroom. What if we have road stops that have nothing to do with recreation to use the porta potty? So we basically invite traffic and abuse of the location. Just throwing it out there. Having had experience with overuse of trash bins, opportunists that take advantage of public access to a facility. It's a little bit of cynicism I'm throwing your way in terms of concern, but maybe there's a way to follow these concerns if you do choose to try it. Thanks.
Thanks, Wendy. Matt, do you want to address that really quick?
Yeah, those are very legitimate concerns. So there's no overnight camping at any of our trailheads. And you can imagine during COVID, everyone went out and bought their $150,000 Sprinter vans and decided they wanted to camp in our parking lots. And we absolutely did not allow that. And so what ultimately happens is our volunteers enforce it. They call me, or the neighbor calls me. I'm on like speed dial text, and I go and I knock on the window of the camper and I say, you cannot have overnight camping here, and they leave, and it's very polite. And so I am not aware of a single time that an overnight camper actually was pulled it off without us asking them to leave. And then as far as like incidental use by recreational users, we didn't see that. We have no proof or evidence of that at the other two that we maintained last year. And if we put it in the two different locations I suggested, one of those two locations, ideally you're not going to see it from the road, especially if we go to the upper parking lot and put it in the far back. I really don't think you'll drive by and say, oh, I want to use that.
Thoughts, comments from the board before we?
I'm in favor of it.
Cliff?
Yeah, especially without paying for it. I think the precedent that I would have more concern with is like, are we paying for everybody's and something that's not budgeted? But given that's a non-issue here and it's a not permanent structure, I think like to echo some of the comments, like this isn't a permanent structure. So as far as like what duty we have to notify neighbors for everything, I feel like the duty of care is different depending on, are we building a permanent structure versus something that can easily be removed? So I have less concern over that. So yeah.
My preference would be by the upper parking lot if that's possible. I also think that I appreciate the conversation around this. One of the things that we've talked about as a town is how we're addressing and meeting the moment with climate resiliency. And one of those things is our shortening seasons and how important year-round recreation is to that. I am very grateful that we have purchased this land for all the recreation purposes. As someone with toddlers and who talks to a lot of parents, I can tell you folks would use that property a lot more if this was something that was possible there, especially if there is a changing table. And so I'm in favor of this. Kevin Lynch at the last meeting suggested we give it a try, and I think we should do this on a trial basis. And if it's a month-to-month contract, if there are an overwhelming number of complaints, then we can address it. So I'll entertain a motion to approve one singular porta potty at the Vondel Cobb conditional on insurance coverage, meeting our standard.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion is carried. Thank you, everybody. All right, we are moving on to.
And I was, I'm out next week or so, so if you want to coordinate with Stephanie on any insurance questions you have, our chief green. Thank you.
We're going to move on to some abatements. For those that don't know, we serve as the Sewer and Water Commission.
Did you guys vote to pay for it or not? I missed that.
Oh, my understanding is that
No,
we're not going to
they're
pay
paying
for
for
it.
it.
They're going to.
We're going to have two separate votes, so thank you.
Thank you, Gay. We serve as the Sewer Commission and the Water Commission, so we're going to deal with some abatements. We have abatement criteria that we will use. The first on the list is for 648 Churchill Road. For those that don't know, if a property isn't metered, we bill it based on its occupancy, a single, a double, or a family. This property has asked for an abatement because their occupancy has changed from a double residency to a single occupancy. So assuming the board agrees, I will entertain a motion to abate this bill from the date, from February 2025 as a single occupancy.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The second abatement we have is for 2 Highland Ave Extension. This property was billed even though they are not connected to, they have a private septic system. So I will entertain it's a full abatement.
Well, you got 3 different immediate abatement for
abatement.
sewer charges applied to property,
Yes.
reimbursement of all sewer related payments previously made in error, reversal and reimbursement of any interest charges associated with these bills. I don't think we have those numbers, but
Yeah,
that's what
we
they're asking
have,
for.
um,
I mean, they've been billed for a sewer and they don't have one
right.
for many years.
Our abatement policy only goes back, correct me if I'm wrong, Robert, it's 3 years.
3 years, yeah.
So I will entertain a motion for abatement for current sewer charges and reimbursement of sewer related payments going back 3 years.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving through. Our third sewer abatement, I don't have the address for this, but it's parcel 31.01.48. And this is a similar request. They have an independent septic system they installed, and so they should not be charged for the use of town sewer. So I will entertain a motion to abate their last, that was the last, 1658 West Woodstock Road. I'll entertain a motion to abate the current sewer bill.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. The next one is for 23 The Green.
This is a little complicated.
This is complicated, Robert. And I know Mr. Hayward is on also, but I just want to ask Robert.
Oh, he needs to be unmuted. though.
Yeah. Don't worry, Mr. Hayward, we're gonna have Robert describe it and then we'll have you.
This is the one where the reading was way off.
The reading was way off.
Okay, yep, I got it. Yeah, so in this one,
They didn't have any blue cards.
yeah, they've been receiving or haven't been receiving blue cards for quite some time. They were returning the blue cards to the aqueduct. But they were still, the billing usage wasn't being updated. So when we, again, left them a blue card in this billing cycle, it went back to the last usage that we had in the book, which was from July of 2023. So this is just a situation of past errors that need to, that resulted in
Reconcile.
higher than normal usage billing. So that's kind of the overall situation that happened in this.
Great.
And there's a recommendation that we charge the accurate usage of amount of 49. Do you agree with that?
Yes, that would be from the last card to this, billing cycle. So that would be the usage that would have been accommodated in the 9-month billing cycle.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to abate.
Okay,
this.
could I quickly weigh in? I'm so sorry. I'll be very quick. Thank you very much for letting me participate in this. I wish I were there in person. I live 3 houses away, but I'm in New York, unfortunately, for my wife's job. So just to clarify, I did receive blue cards from Aqueduct and religiously went to Gillingham's and put them in the little box and got charged for years the $60. I've only lived in town for 4.5 years. I assumed I was below the minimum or whatever. I didn't question it. And I think the company just didn't send those records to you. As soon as you took over, I filled in a card, as you know. So if I just want to make sure I understand the proposal, which is only to charge me for the most recent period. Is that what you said? I couldn't quite hear what Robert said.
Yeah, that's correct. So we have example of the last two blue cards that you have submitted. One was for 231,454 cubic feet. The other was for 236,442 cubic feet. And so our recommendation is to only charge you for those two, or for the usage in between those two cards that we received.
Okay, so the only thing I would add to that, which I'm grateful for this, thank you. I would just add, I have also paid a sewer bill since then, at least one. I have sent all my records to Ashley at the town office, and I'm happy to bring those in with proof. But I would certainly like, I've paid sewer bills on, well, the relevant one, I guess, would be April of 25. I'm not sure, but I want to make sure that if it does fall within the period, that's deducted from whatever I owe.
I can look into that and touch base off after the meeting. We do have 2 more meetings before
The bill is due, yeah.
So we can definitely touch base and look at that and see if those charges are in fact also.
Yeah, because the sewer bill would be based on this incorrect reading as well.
It would be, but if we got a, yeah, I'd have to look into it. It
Okay.
probably most likely is, but yeah, it's one thing I'd have.
Okay, but can we agree? Can we agree? I understand, but can we agree in principle that if I have paid a bill that is not reflected in this invoice, it will be reflected in whatever you ultimately charge me?
Yeah. So
For water.
for water or sewer? Are we on sewer?
Well,
This is just water.
I mean, I wrote an email to Ashley yesterday saying it really should be called, I'm sorry, I'm not being difficult. I don't mean to be.
Yeah.
Sewer and water abatement. They're obviously, the sewer is more expensive. And I'll pay whatever I owe, but I have paid every single bill I've ever been given in good faith, including a most recent sewer bill. I'd like to make sure that I get credit for what I've already paid and I'm not charged twice for either water or sewer. I appreciate the abatement on the water. I want to make sure I'm not charged twice for sewer.
Yeah, so it's been warned as a sewer,
water.
water abatement. So if the board agrees to water abatement today, you'll get that.
And then we can put the sewer abatement on the next agenda.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And the utility bill is an example as well in here, and it shows, I mean, the usage for both water and sewer is the same on this. So,
Right.
we'll definitely touch base after this and we'll get you on a future agenda and discuss it then.
And you don't have to attend the next one either. It's not compulsory that you attend, Mr. Hayward, if you don't want to come again.
You're more than welcome to it.
You're more than welcome to. But we'll put you on the next agenda for the sewer for
But
sure.
I also don't want to miss the deadline. It's in June, right? So I need to be able to pay
Yeah,
this
we
bill.
have, Robert's assured us that we have time before the bill is due.
Yeah, we have 2 meetings before.
At least 2 meetings.
At least 2 meetings before that bill is due. And like I said, I can work with you offline and kind of determine what the abatement would be and kind of give you a ballpark of what.
Okay, yeah, I do not want to be in arrears with the town. I'd rather pay and.
No,
not at all.
We appreciate that.
Not at all.
Appreciate that, but we will work with you to make sure.
So I'll hear from somebody about this.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, definitely.
great. Thank you so much for putting me on the agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Got to vote on that.
Yep, I will entertain a motion to abate Mr. Hayward's water bill to the recommended usage of 4,988 cubic feet.
So moved.
A second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next one is 27 Slayton Terrace.
It's a similar situation.
Yeah, Robert, do you want to give us a background on this?
All right, so in this one, there was a issue on the reader or the meter itself, and what would happen is the second digit on the read that the aqueduct or us were getting, it had just like a dash through it. So with that being the case, they didn't correctly add the amounts. If you go to example A out of it's page 3 on the list, you'll see that it has a picture of like the physical book, and then on the right you'll see our estimation of what the read should have been. And that's because, that's just the turning of the meter itself. So they didn't turn it from 2.1 to 2.2 and then 2.2 to 2.3. They put it in their system as 210,000 and then whatever the next digits were. So, but it was always started with 210,000. So in this one, what we found is when we did our read with we did a blue card or I guess the reader worked when we did it this last reading, it jumped it up to 242,000. So that resulted in us sending a bill for 24,000 cubic feet.
Mhm.
When realistically, it should have been 238,100 up to 242,800. So it should have been the difference of, I believe it's 4,000.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
4,700.
Yeah, 4,700 units versus the 24,700 units. And that's because of the, like I said, that's because of the error in the reader from years past.
Yep. All right, I will entertain a motion to update this water bill to the usage of 4,700 cubic feet.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
Can I make a comment though? That was water in the agenda, so we probably have to
Yes,
like
same
Andrew
thing.
will
We have to
edit the sewer
get him on the next.
meeting. I'll put a note down to make sure we get it on.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Robert. Thank
Thanks,
you to you
Robert.
and Ashley for your work on this.
Yep.
All right, we're gonna move on. Chamber of Commerce budget. Lauren, come on up. So for those that don't know, we discussed this and Jim and Lauren presented this at the slideshow at the last meeting. In terms of the expenses for the forthcoming year, including wassail, flower baskets, tree lights, wireless Woodstock. And that's it. Do you have anything else you want to add?
Only if you have any questions.
Questions or concerns from the board?
No.
I know thank you for putting this together. And I know you have inherited a lot of, or not a lot of documentation about previous records. I think if we agree to this today, it would really be helpful going forward to have an accounting profit and loss statement for, wassail or other things going forward. If the request is going to keep being made on an annual basis. For those that weren't here last time also, because this is a question I keep getting, a lot of these items previously, like flower baskets and tree lights, those services have at times been donated to us. Yeah. So, but we are now moving to professionalize them for more reliability.
Only tree lights.
Only tree lights.
Yeah.
But we're going with a different vendor for the flower baskets.
Well, it's a new guy.
To water.
It's a new
To
guy.
water them.
Water, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And do we know after, if we grant this today, how much is left in the local options tax balance?
Give me a minute.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments from the board?
Nope. No.
I'll take public comment on these requests if we have any. Wendy, come on up.
Hi, Wendy Marino Village. I just have a context question.
Yeah.
And forgive me if it's repetition. Our local, this is a board management and budget question.
Sure.
So our local options tax brings in 1% on retail sales.
Mhm.
That's the one we're referencing.
No.
We're
This
referencing
is-
rooms and meals?
Rooms and meals.
Okay, so there's a start. Thank you.
Yep.
So we're referencing a request for money to come from the rooms and meals 1% local options tax.
Mhm.
Most of what the chamber, well, this is, I know, I'm going into muddy waters, village town muddy waters. The select board manages the budget,
Mhm.
the town budget for all of the local options tax revenue.
They have a-
Town manages the allocation.
Yes.
Okay.
We oversee the allocation. We approve
Okay.
or deny the
Right,
allocation of
so
those
even
funds.
though, for example, flower baskets are in the village, got it.
Yes,
So this is not a village trustee
correct, because it's,
concern directly.
Yep.
Thank you. I just needed my bearings. Thank you.
yep. Any other questions or comments?
So in FY 25, this local option tax brought in $419,000. So this allocation, $37,000.
So we got 400 left.
I mean, we have allocated out of it, parts of the water
sorry.
infrastructure projects, economic development director salary.
Yeah, so if you go through what you've allocated, including this, it's about $300,000 for the entire year.
Mhm.
That'll be the bond payment for water, marketing, economic development director, the strategic plan that got approved,
Mhm.
and then the chamber budgets.
Okay. Yeah.
So based on just what came in last year, you'd still have over $100,000 in that budget, but there's a general fund of, Robert, do you remember what 300,000 balance in the local option tax already?
You mean from 2024 to 2024?
Yeah, like carried over.
Yeah, the overall fund balance.
I think our fund balance was above. I can check on that and, you know,
I guess the only comment I'll say is that, I think we always want to revisit how we're using that fund and make sure it aligns with priorities. When we use it, we can't use it. It precludes us at times from using it for other things. So while I know, and we've had conversations about this since I've been on the select board since the beginning, this is very important to a lot of people, these expenses. And how our village represents itself and how we also participate, how our economy participates in the region. And also how we delight some people who live here even. And I also want to thank Jim and Lauren for getting the wireless up and running, which has been a recent development, which I think is beneficial for the entire community. So with that said, I'll entertain a motion if at the board's pleasure.
So moved. Second.
And the motion is to approve this local options tax allocation. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Thank you so much for coming.
And just for clarification, the budget's approved today to go for like the next 365 days, or do you want to start? Okay.
Yes. Okay, I think that's it. Okay, moving on to discussion. So this is a carryover from our last few meetings for those that weren't here or are catching up. One of our fiscal year goals, as you know, the fiscal year is coming up soon, or the end of the fiscal year is coming up soon. And it was one of our joint board's goals to establish rules of procedure for our board. Last meeting, we had a discussion about what that could include. We got feedback about what that could include. And I included some attachments of examples. I have taken a stab at a draft. Where is it? For rules of procedure. And I will, thank you. I know I added it late. Thank you. My own documents, so I should be well versed if other folks from the public want it. So some things to highlight for those that don't know, is one of the things we've been talking about is kind of formalizing and setting expectations for our meetings and what is expected of the board, but also what is expected of how the public participates in those meetings. And so previously I attached a bunch of examples. This is just a stab at the rules of procedure. I'm open to feedback on it. There's a few things I wanted to bring up, which I will suggest. So we have a purpose statement, which says the select board is required by law to conduct meetings in accordance with the Vermont Open Public Meeting Law and references the statute. Meetings of the select board must be open to the public except as provided in the specific statute 1 VSA 313. This policy setting forth rules of procedure shall apply to the select board referred to below as the body. That could be too formal. These rules shall apply to all regular, special, and emergency meetings of the body, though there are some exceptions which are called out. Some of the stuff we already do, we elect a chair and a vice chair annually. The chair presides over all meetings. In the chair's absence, the vice chair presides over meetings. If both the chair and the vice chair are absent, someone else from the body is selected. The chair is responsible for preserving order in the meeting and regulates its proceedings by applying these rules and making determinations. A majority of the members constitutes a quorum. No meeting can take place unless a quorum is present. No single member of the body has the authority to represent or act on behalf of the body unless by majority vote. the body has delegated such authority for a specific matter at a duly noticed meeting, and such delegation is recorded in minutes. Again, a lot of this we do already. Motions made require a second. The chair may make motions and may vote on all questions before the body. A motion only passes if it receives votes of the majority of the total membership of the body. Any member of the body may request a roll call vote. Meetings may be recessed to a time and place certain. That's just a phrase that's used throughout some of these rules of procedure. These rules can be amended by a majority vote and readopted annually. Again, a lot of this we covered in our open meeting law, but we talk through what the procedure is for agenda. Each regular and special meeting should have an agenda with time allotted for each item of business to be considered. Members of the body who wish to have items added to the meeting agenda shall contact the chair to request inclusion on the agenda. Members of the public who wish to have items added.
1 second.
Yeah.
It looks like the printout is missing the agenda page.
Oh,
So
okay.
if people have that, they don't have what you're reading. Just be
Okay,
aware of that.
thank you. Members of the public who wish to have items added to the meeting agenda shall contact the chair or other member of the body to request inclusion on the agenda with a description of their reason for the request. The final agenda will be made at the discretion of the chair, the select board assistant, or in their absence, the clerk or other designee will prepare the final agenda for distribution. We can change that based on the procedure. I don't think right now the clerk has any role in our agenda making process. At least 48 hours prior to regular meeting, 24 hours prior to special meeting, notice of the meeting to include a meeting agenda shall be posted on the town website and town offices and posted at another location. What is the third physical location we use right now?
Library, post office, and down outside town hall.
So my question for the board is, if we think those we have to post it in 3 physical locations per open meeting law. Some of the ones that some of the examples I referenced in the previous packet, like Pomfret, required that posted on the listserv as well. So I didn't know if that was something you guys wanted to include.
I would say I'll be against that. I think the conversation of it's not a formal town-owned property, and I don't think we're in the business of that's where
We currently post it there.
we do.
Yeah.
Which I think is okay, but
Yeah.
I don't think we need to make it a requirement. I
Okay.
think like making sure we're meeting the minimum threshold on properties that we have more control over probably makes the sense. And then like also try to distribute it out to anything that is widely read, how do we get more people involved is a good thing, but not burden ourselves with more requirements than are necessary.
Okay, great. The agenda must also be made to any person who requests the agenda prior to the meeting. Business shall be conducted in the same order it appears on the agenda, except addition, deletion from the noticed agenda or made as the first act of business at the meeting. This is, again, I added kind of like everything we could use, so we don't have to use it all. We talk about the time for the meetings, emergency meetings, draft minutes, which we already follow, and the procedure for that. The thing that we don't have a formal procedure around, but we do enforce is about public participation. So I'll read that section. This is sourced, I believe, from the VLCT example from last meeting. All meetings of the body are meetings in the public, not of the public. Members of the public shall be afforded reasonable opportunity to express opinions about matters considered by the body, so long as order is maintained according to these rules. Such public comment is subject to reasonable rules established by the chair of the select board. And then it cites the VSA. The chair may determine time limits for each speaker. Comment by the public or members of the body must be addressed to the chair or to the body as a whole and not to any individual member of the body or the public. Members of the public must be acknowledged by the chair before speaking. Members of the public must identify themselves with their name and town before they speak. If a member of the public has already spoken, he or she may not be recognized again until others have been given the opportunity to comment. Order and decorum shall be observed by all persons present at the meeting. Neither members of the body nor members of the public shall delay or interrupt proceedings or the peace of the meeting to interrupt or disturb any member while speaking. Members of the body and members of the public are prohibited from making personal, impertinent, threatening, or profane remarks. Members of the body and members of the public shall obey the orders of the chair and other presiding member. The chair shall adhere to the following process to restore order and decorum of the meeting, but may bypass any or all steps when he or she determines it is in her sole discretion that deviation is warranted. First, call the meeting to order and remind the members of the applicable rules of procedure. 2, declare a recess or table the issue. 3, adjourn the meeting until time and date certain. 4, order a member of law enforcement to remove the disorderly person from the meeting. If the disorderly person is attending electronically, remove them from the virtual meeting. And like I said, these are rules that are examples of these rules that we went over last meeting that I just pulled. So that was a lot. I kind of put everything in here that I thought would be pertinent. And this is just on here as a discussion, because I know when Susan returns, she will also have thoughts on rules of procedure as well. But I didn't know, based on this draft, if you guys had any specific feedback, additions or deletions that you wanted to have made.
The only thing I might comment on is like because we, I think this is quite formal. I do need formal things, but even having something that's more like spirit of the meeting.
Yeah.
Like that's, hey, we want to engage with the community. We have to have some formal rules to do that within, but overall, we want to make sure that we're flexible to meet the needs of the community. Something like that at the top, or
something workable. Yeah. I mean, so I included in the last month's packet, Susan has drafted this like more informal, kind of lovely introduction to our meetings. And so we can bring it to her and kind of figure out how to rework this, because I think it's important that we do make it accessible while these are kind of like stiff.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is the right document, but maybe we have a supplemental document that's like the best way to contact or like engage on different topics. Because I think sometimes I feel like the size of the effort we take on is not correlative to the size of the issue we're trying to address, and vice versa. Like there's bigger issues we don't probably spend enough time on, and smaller issues we spend a ton of time on. It's like, how do we figure that out, and get the right blend? But I mean, I think it's a great start. And I just want to make sure we can engage with the community and get so it's a useful document as opposed to just words on the page.
Words on the page that we reference infrequently. I'll open it up to members of the public.
Marianne Sweeney has her hand.
Yes, Marianne, so glad you're here.
Thanks very much. Marianne Sweeney from Taftesville. So I introduced a couple of meetings ago the VLCT guidelines for getting an item on the agenda, and I'm really grateful that you included that about how to ask for an agenda item. What's helpful in the template is that it also lists the reasons that a request might be denied. And I think it would be really helpful for citizens as well as for transparency if people were given in a timely manner a response. And by the way, I have received timely responses. I'm hearing that other people have not. But it'd be helpful to notify the requester of the reason for denial or delay. And I'm hoping that you would consider that and also include it in your procedures. So the onus is not just on the citizen, but also what we can expect in terms when we submit a request for an agenda item. This template from VLCT also suggests that all agenda requests and supporting documents submitted by the deadline will, whenever possible, be included in the public meeting packet and posted on the municipality's website or made available at town office. So I'm interpreting that to mean all requests. So I don't know if you have the bandwidth to do this, but it would be helpful to know what people are really interested in. I know you know, but we don't know. So I don't know if you have the time and as I say, the bandwidth to do that. But anyway, those are my comments. I appreciate all the work you've done on this. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Marianne, and thank you for sending us those templates. They've been very helpful. I think definitely within reason. I think the example reasons for denying are great things for us to consider including. I think the thing that I'm certainly wary of for my own self and maybe for other board members' workload, but this would still just be the chair and the vice chair is my interpretation. Would make sure that we say, like, to the best of their ability, there's a timely response. I think that, you know, to your point about bandwidth, this is something that we're trying to kind of like find a balance of between what folks are asking for us and what we can do as part-time public servants. So maybe the language includes just to the best of our ability, there's a timely response and includes a reason for why it was denied or why it would be considered appropriate for another medium such as public comment or something else. Yeah, Wendy, come on up.
Thank you, Wendy Marion, Village resident. I want to say I appreciate an effort to find ways to engage the public. I'll go on record as saying I enjoy being engaged with our local government and I value that as a community with this kind of scale. So I'm thanking you for that. On that note, this is a very procedural comment. It is very hard to hear in this room. And now I am less good at hearing than many. Okay, I admit I have some disability. I'm in the front row. I can hear the people online come out of the speaker and I can barely hear your voices. And I just don't know what we can do. But I think if you want people in the room, we got to be able to hear them. You know, I'm a front row person because I can hear, but I still can't hear. So that's a technical concern I've raised before, but I know you've done a lot, major strides in the technology, kudos, but that's something's missing in the room. But then I have a specific question about this agenda request template. Are we seeing a complete, is this how we're going to corral all requests? Is this a one and only way situation? How does this
I think that's what's open for debate
Okay.
is establishing, and I want to be clear, it's establishing a request for an agenda item. It's not
Sure.
establishing you know, I think the language is important. For something to appear on the agenda has to be approved by the chair. But it's a request for an agenda item.
So, because it's been my experience organically that a question's raised in a meeting or in a separate meeting, a concern is raised that comes to your attention and it's kind of like, yeah, right. Oh, haha, we better address this. I mean, that's an organic process that I've participated in personally. So I just want to understand, I think if we could try to get into paperwork as the only way, that's a big shift.
Yeah, it's something that Gay has raised previously.
I mean, it's kind of like how we communicate. Do you text your friend? Do you email them? Or do you call them on the phone? I mean, depending on the person, right? I mean, that's still how we operate. We communicate in different ways. So it's almost feeling like a permit process to me. I'm not against it. People need to know how to do it. 100% we need to know.
Yeah.
And we need to trust it and feel we can get the process, be part of the process. So that's my kind of a question, right?
Yeah, I would say the informal process is still there and available, but like we'll hear sometimes that someone posted something on the listserv and then they're unhappy it's not on the agenda. And it's like, well,
yeah, that's
make that connection. We're not going to post everything that's on the listserv onto the agenda.
So I'll bring in my last soapbox point. The listserv is not government, is not our process. It's a bulletin board for the community. It is not how we should run our town. I feel very strongly about this. It's a tool that we have a website. You guys are doing a great job with the website, getting information on it. I really think the listserv is muddying the waters. It's not your responsibility to answer the listserv. Personal opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Roger?
Oh, this looks like a fun meeting.
Yeah, it's a wastewater meeting.
As far as agendas go, I think I understand Wendy's point. It makes sense that we've kind of had an informal way of doing it. What concerns me about that is it's not procedural. And unfortunately, it seems like we need to get procedural. And people are saying, I told somebody I wanted this on the agenda and it didn't get on the agenda. If we have some kind of system where you fill out a form, and I would actually suggest that it's time to start thinking about a help desk system for the town, so that if you have a question about sewer, it gets directed to the sewer person. If you want something added to the agenda, it gets added to the agenda. But there should be a set procedure. And if it is automated, then you can make it so anybody can see it. If there's an automated form that's got a database backup. And I think to Cliff's point, as far as things come to this meeting that sometimes could have been handled much more easily by calling up somebody in the town. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't come to this meeting, that's fine. It's an inefficient way to do it.
Mhm.
So to Cliff's point, I think kind of a guide to how to interact and how to get requests from government would be a very helpful thing to do. And that would be much more effective if it was backed up by an automated help desk system of some kind with a paper backup for those who are uncomfortable with that. As far as public comments go, I think it's always good to remember that there is no requirement in Vermont law that there be an open public comment period without being attached to an individual agenda item. I think it's important to remember that. I'm not saying that we should get rid of the kind of general off-agenda public comments, but I think that it would behoove the boards and town management to tighten up and sharpen some of the language about conduct when during public comments. There have been public comments I have seen that use inappropriate language, that accuse individuals of something. I think that could be sharpened. And I'm sorry to be a wordsmith, but impertinent is not the right word. That's like a cute word when your kid talks back.
Yeah.
I think we need to tighten this language and then actually enforce those rules of conduct. I'm not saying that people shouldn't be able to talk about whatever they want to talk about, but it should be respectful and it should be constructive. And I think that's.
And germane.
And germane.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Use another word.
Yes. So that's my take on it. I think you should sharpen it up.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, Roger.
Marion Sweeney has her hand up.
All right. Yeah, Marion, we'll end on you. Do you have one more thought?
I just would say to Gay that I agree that there should be more than one way to do this. My feeling is that if I'm asking for something on the agenda, that I want it on public record. If I'm just emailing someone, then I don't need it on the public record. Or if I'm making comments, I don't need it on the public record. But if it's that important to me and I'm requesting that it be on the agenda, then I'd like a formal process to do that. So I agree. Lots of different ways to do it. And I think the reasons for it will dictate. Thanks.
Thanks, Marion. Okay. You want to close us out?
Sure. Gay Travers, Woodstock. Wendy used a very interesting word, is that we don't want it to feel like a permitting process. But, that is sort of, I expressed my concern last time. There is such a fine balance for having something that everybody understands and procedurally without it being, oh my God, I've got to go through this permitting process. So, I think that's just something to really look at.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, if there are two ways to get in. I know right now I don't know if it's fact, but it's certainly the perception that that's the way it operates now. You know, that there's a fast track in, you know, and then there's this onerous way, you know, another way. So to sort of, if there are two ways to, you know, to get on the agenda, then they need to be very clarified also, so that there's not a sort of a perception that why did they get it on the agenda and we didn't. Sort of.
Yeah,
So,
and I think making sure that we have an explanation for folks who do request might help.
Yep. So I just, you know, once again, the community feeling, the more paperwork and stuff,
Yep.
you start losing that. So
Thanks, Gary.
thank you.
All right, we will continue this conversation when Susan returns. Thanks everybody for their feedback. Before we get to the approval of minutes, I had added an agenda item for a select board update. So if the board will humor me and indulge me, I have a statement that I wanted to read. I'm tendering my resignation to the municipal manager effective on May 11th. I joined the select board at 5 months postpartum with one goal in mind: to help the town purchase the aqueduct. I'm very grateful to Susan, Ray, and Greg and Carrie for giving me the opportunity to serve on this board, for their collaboration, as well as Norm and Cliff's collaboration over the past few months. I'm grateful to the voters of Woodstock for their continued support, as our board and town staff have taken on Herculean work in the past 2 years, purchasing a new water utility, renovating a sewer plant, implementing a new local options tax, hopefully implementing new village zoning bylaws, professionalizing our assessor's office and our economic development function. I'm grateful to our municipal manager and our staff who work tirelessly for our community. And I'm really lucky to have met so many amazing people in this role. I don't think I will ever fully appreciate how much goes into keeping this town running. This has been one of the biggest honors of my life. While we have made incredible progress, there is too much that is unacceptable. Last year, offensive signs were placed across the street from our municipal manager's home. Signs that included an air tag so that when removed by a concerned neighbor, state police were called. Police were called on our board administrative assistant, a hard-working single mom who was born and raised here. Members of our community who have spoken in support of our board or staff have been threatened with legal action. Others have told me they are afraid to speak out due to the risk of retaliation to them or the organizations they represent. My fellow board member, Cliff Johnson, was threatened with a bar complaint, and I have been asked by town staff and asked myself if we should be worried for our safety. When individuals exploit the legal system and law enforcement to intimidate others, our community suffers. Our government and many organizations in our community rely on the labor of regular folks who have answered the call of public service. We are caretakers, employees, neighbors, parents. We may not always agree on policy or politics, but we share this place, its roads, its schools, its river, its future. The work of keeping our community healthy and whole is unglamorous, but it is important work. I hope that despite these hard times and the risk of this work, good people will continue to answer that call, knowing that Woodstock's future belongs to those who want to build and not destroy. Thank you. So with that, I think we have to figure out some things procedurally.
Yeah, nice pivot.
Yeah, anytime.
Yeah, I'll save words about Laura's term for another time, I think. So this board has previously discussed holding an election on August 11th for the open seat for Ray Bourgeois. With a 3-member board, every vote has to be 3-0 or it does not pass. It'll be hard to get quorum in the time being. I know Norm, I think, is missing a meeting in June. So I feel it's important to have at least 4 members on this board, if not 5. So my recommendation would be this board open up application process, send up, allow people to apply, and then appoint at least one person on the May 28th meeting. With that said, I've been in talk with VLCT, who gave less than clear guidance over the last 2 months on this, and a different attorney this morning. And their guidance as well is that you should appoint a second member to the board, and still hold the open election on August 11th, based on what the wording in the statutes. But I'll leave that up to the board to decide.
So do you mean two?
Yeah, so you appoint two
We appoint
members.
two members.
and
That's
then
what you're
both-
recommending.
And then on August 11th, there'll be 2 seats open for people to
And do an
petition
election for
and
2
do
seats.
election, yeah. And people who are appointed could decide to run or could decide not to. And the 2 seats, Ray Bourgeois' old seat would then have the running in March. The person who wins in August 11th, so Lara's seat would fill the term, so they'd run again in 2028.
So it's 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely understand the concern of being down to 3 board members. I think May 28th to appoint 2 people would be pretty fast. It's 23 days to get people to apply. And so I'm at least, I'd rather get clarity from an attorney in writing on what we absolutely have to do, and then make a decision with Susan when she's back on the next steps. I mean, that's at least my preferred method, because I just want to make sure we're really careful about how we go about this and make sure we give people an opportunity to both consider the role, fill out a thorough application, and make sure we don't rush that.
Wow. Yeah, I agree with Cliff. I think we don't want to rush into it, but we need to be able to do the right thing.
You need to hold meetings, be able to hold meetings. Just if it's the 3 of you on the June meeting, we have to cancel that meeting soon because no one will, I think, you're traveling. Right, so that
The first weekend. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
the June meeting.
Yeah,
June
so
meeting.
that first meeting has to be now canceled if we don't have a member by then. So that's the risk we get into, of not being able to fill the business of the town, if we don't have at least 4 members.
But how much notice do we need to give in order for people to apply?
So the way the statute reads, the way I understand it, is that you could literally appoint someone right now if you wanted to take Lara's seat on the 12th. What has traditionally happened is you've allowed people to apply, you interview them, and then you make an appointment. If you could hypothetically give people to, May 25th to apply, that'd be 20 days. And then
What's our meeting? 28th, right?
28th, and then that meeting, you interview them, and if you decide there's candidates you want to go forward with, you can. If you decide there's not, you wouldn't have to.
So do we do like a blast on?
Yeah, we work on language internally to get the word out as soon as possible. So we're ready to go today if there's guidance from the board.
If we do call for applications to give us the option of appointing someone, are we required to appoint someone at that point? Or is it possible to at least start the process, get applications in, and then still we could ultimately make a determination not to appoint?
You could, again, the statute has a language, I think, forthwith, so appoint someone. So you should be looking to appoint someone. But again, if you get no applicants or you get people who you don't feel will be a good fit, you won't have to appoint them at the time.
Yeah, I think that's my concern, is like if we have 23 days to try to make sure we get the best qualified applicants, that to me feels like it might not work
But
out.
then they also have to run it again in August.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
that's
So they got 1 month, they served for 1 month and then they run.
they have to file.
Yeah, and really, and
2
you have
months.
to, this is language we'll also push out soon. Anyone who wants to run in the August 11th election has to have the petition in by June 25th.
Okay. So I think we should do the call for applications then under that, like, as long as we're not putting ourselves under an obligation to appoint, even if we get like one person who's unqualified or something like that. I guess that would be my concern, is it could be worse to appoint someone that's unqualified than have 3 people who.
Correct.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get some.
I was going to be talking again, so I apologize. Gay Travers Woodstock. For many, 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 many years, Woodstock ran with 3 selectmen. It's only in the last 20 to 25 years that we've had 5. I don't understand the panic about, of not 3 selectmen attending meetings. And if in fact you think that before August you need more members, then I would really recommend having a special election and having people run. I mean, I think that's been a real concern of the citizenry, and to suddenly appoint people, I think, is not really going to go down well. I think you have an opportunity here. Did I hear, once again, it's very hard to hear.
I apologize.
I heard a June 25th date, so I don't know if that was, I don't know what that meant. Like, you can have an earlier, I know with the August date was, we could piggyback with the primary, which would have been great. But now one would be like the soonest you could have, quote, a special election where you could elect people.
Just doing some quick math off my head would probably be around June 30th if you announce it today. But there's guidelines on how long people have to petition, and like the Cliff's point, you want people to have time to go and get the petition signed and read. I think what I was recommending is to hold the August 11th election for the open seats, but appoint people between now and then so they can do the business of the town between now and August 11th.
Right, but we all know once people are appointed, they really have a advantage to getting elected. So
I just I don't disagree with you, but also the business of the town has to get done. And if there's a 3-member board and people can't make the meetings and we can't have meetings, then they're failing the public for not getting the business done. And there will be decisions that need to get made between now and June 30th that are very important.
Right. Well, once again, the town ran forever with 3 selectmen. I don't see this as a panic.
Yeah, but then you only needed a majority of 2 at that time.
And now we need
there
a
wasn't a
You have to have
board of
100%.
5.
Yeah.
So we'd have to change back to 3 to have the same as what it was then.
Yep.
Point taken, but still underscoring, I really, really think in the best interest of the feeling of the town is to have an election. Thank you.
All right, so it sounds like we're going, oh, did you have a question, Roger?
No, I have a comment. but
Okay.
Is this appropriate time to make one?
I think, do we want to just decide on how we want to move forward? Wendy,
Okay,
did
yeah.
you have a question about the process?
Wendy Merriman Village. If the route that's chosen is a short-term appointment, I heard Cliff mention qualifications. The citizen, I don't know what those qualifications would be and where, is that already pre-written?
Yeah, there's
So-
a form that has what outlines
our
like what you need to do. Like one example is like, can they make meetings or not?
Sure.
So-
And it's online?
Yeah, it's the
Okay,
it's the
so
same
if you
form.
say- If you were to ask people if they're interested and then you say, we need to see if the qualifications are met, the person applying already knows what those qualifications are that you're would be using. Got it. Thank you.
Marion Sweeney has a hand up. I'm not sure if it's a comment or a question. I don't know if you want
Okay.
to go forward.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to move this conversation along, but Marianne, if you have a quick comment.
Yes, I have a real quick one. That is to not only, make the qualifications clear, or not just to attend meetings, but what backgrounds you're looking for, but also the time commitment. And I know you can probably just give a real rough estimate, but that would be really helpful, because if I want to volunteer for something, I don't know how much time is going to be required. So that would be helpful. Thanks.
And Eric, just to clarify, fourth, right? What's the word? Is forthwith is not incredibly specific legally. It just means as soon as is reasonably possible, something along those lines. We have different attorneys have different opinions of what that exactly means.
We have VLCT that has different opinions on what that means,
Exactly.
which is the issue we
So
got into.
I don't want to rush like getting the right answer for us based on something that is clearly not, it's not like by May 28th, you know what I mean?
Correct.
So that's what I guess what my point would be is like, let's just make sure we get clarity on that. Is there a hard timeline? But best result. And I think that the special election piece for me is concerning because it's going to cost us more money, like getting people to turn out for that. And then in August again and everything. So I think we're left with like not a lot of good possibilities here, but we do need to run the town. So I don't know.
I think we can have language that protects the select board on May 28th that, you know, potentially vote on May 28th. Like we have things that don't say we're definitely going to do this by 28th, but the goal is to move forward this process. So we can have softer language in the announcements.
And we give a 25th deadline for applications. So it gives us a couple of days to.
Yeah, so that'll be 20 days, almost 3 weeks, people.
Right.
Yeah, even if we put like pending legal and practical review, because there's both sides, like legally, what do we really have to do? I have my own opinion, even though I'm not a Vermont attorney. And then practically, what is there that makes the most sense given the moving parts in the August 11th election?
Right.
You know,
Makes sense.
Okay, we don't have this on the schedule for the vote, but it sounds like we don't need to vote on it, but it sounds like we've come to an agreement about how to take care of this.
Yeah, so we'll send out language that we'll send out applications, people can apply by 25th, with the hope that we're having interviews on the 28th and a forthright decision after that.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
Before we move on, can I just, I think we went right to procedure, which is fine. I've had some time to process Laura's news, so I don't have much to say other than I just want to thank her for her service. Our husband's here. I want to thank him and the 2 young daughters. I think Laura put this position in the town ahead of her family. A lot of times ahead of her social life to do what she thought was best. I can't imagine the wear and tear that takes on someone. And yeah, I think I'll just say I'm going to be a worse manager when she leaves. She made me a better manager, and I'm going to miss her. So that's all I'll say for now.
Roger.
Sorry. I'm sad and I'm angry. I'm sad as a person that someone who's given so much time, thought, work, and humanity to this community has been treated with such a lack of respect and such ugliness that she feels she cannot continue to serve this community. And that is a pity. And it makes me angry. This community cannot function without those who volunteer. Whether it's a municipal board or not-for-profit organizations that work for this town. And if those volunteers are constantly attacked, this town will not function. Anyone should feel free to disagree with anything our government does and should be able to make comments about that. Those comments should be constructive, they should be useful, and they should never be ugly. And good luck finding somebody who's as dedicated as Laura has been to this town and who's thought so much about what's good for this town and has put so much work into this town. Good luck finding somebody who's going to put up with this. Our municipal government has begun to address decades of old problems holding this community back from its best. We can continue down that path, or we can let saboteurs take over our government or impede our government. The citizenry of Woodstock need to speak up. And I'm sorry, I thank you for the time you've put in. This town is a better place because you're here. And I hope you can stay engaged in a way that's useful and comfortable for you and your family. And again, I thank you. And again, I am outraged. I am outraged that this had to happen like this. Thank you. And I know none of you, I'm just yelling at the wind here.
We didn't think you were yelling at us.
Thank you, Roger. Thank you. All right.
Hey, good. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
More comments?
Yeah, sure, Wendy. One more.
We all have egos, you know.
We'll wrap it up.
I am heartbroken as well. I'm stunned. We're processing as on our feet here. Some of you may have had a sense. And this is a travesty. And I echo to see Roger's emotion. Who has given more citizen time than Roger Logan to know what he's talking about? And this is a heartbreak. And I will share my current analogy that I've shared with people is that our Woodstock is an airplane and the citizens are passengers, and we've been hijacked and we're losing a pilot now. So I do think the citizens need to find a way to follow our values of respect, yet what has happened is not acceptable in this community. I have witnessed terrible things said in public meetings about one person that have horrified me, and it needs to stop. And I am in full support of, well, thank you, Laura. I am full support of the work you've done for us. And I'm, again, heartbroken. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. All right, we've got some minutes to approve. March 19th, April 7th, and April 21st. I would just note, Kitty, that I wanted to change the spelling of Lauren Fisher's name to Loren, if that's okay.
Yes, that is a good point. I'll change that. Which one was that?
I believe the last one,
Okay.
421.
Mark it down.
Any other comments or changes on the minutes?
Can we do them all at once?
Yes, we can. We're a man of efficiency, Norm. I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes for March 19th, April 7th, and April 21st.
So moved.
Do I have a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming today.